All right, what's good, people? Jess, how do you like the new platform right now? I know we recorded on something different last time.
Did we? It seems similar to this. Or was it different than this one?
It was different than this because the old one apparently doesn't shoot in the same way that this does. So we're gonna be able to use this for like TikTok and stories and whatnot in a better way. So from a content perspective, I'm excited about this, but not as excited as I am to have you back on. Welcome back to the podcast, my friend.
Thanks. Glad to be back.
Okay, there's a couple places that I wanted to start.
We're
Um,
just right to it. Let's go.
we're gonna get right into it. There's a couple places I wanted to start, but before we even do, for our pod family, I actually got to meet Jess in person. Was it like a month ago?
Yeah, maybe not even that. Maybe like 3 weeks.
Was it less? And usually when you get to meet people in real life, like you're kind of wondering how they are. And what was phenomenal for me to see and understand is that Jess, you are exactly who you are in your content and the way that you do your work. That in itself was super refreshing. So I had a great time spending time with you. I hope you did with me.
Yeah, I felt the same way about you. I feel like you're just like I don't know. Some humans that you just know are just like genuine good people, and I always had
Mhm.
that feeling with you, and it confirmed it. Our meeting in person.
It was. It was. I had a great time. I mean, you were there obviously for CSB, CPSDA. I can never get the
Hmm.
damn acronym, I swear.
Listen,
You were there for that. I mean, how was it for you?
like which part? The overall experience?
Yeah, yeah, the overall. Because I mean, we'll kind of get into why I wanted to talk about like your really cool life moments in a bit. But like, how was it for you knowing that you're a badass?
Oh wow! Oh wow! Well, the cool thing about it is we hadn't been in person in a few years, so there were a lot of connections that I had developed over social media through like COVID and everything, and really like all my growth on social media happened during COVID. So for
Yeah,
a lot of people I was meeting for the first time. I of my audience and the dietitians and people and students that I feel like I know. I've not met most of them, and so meeting people in
yeah,
person was great and wonderful, and also very overwhelming. Because I often
yeah,
felt like some people knew me that I didn't know them, and so that was a different kind of thing to navigate. And
yeah.
like, it sounds so dumb to say because I don't want to sound vain because I'm not really vain, but like it
I
kind
don't
of
get
like
that vibe. You can say
like
it.
like D-list celebrity, kind of moment, and that was such a weird feeling to me. Like that just I don't know because I'm just me. I'm just Jessica.
I'm just... wait. Did you call yourself did you say D or B list?
Oh, I said D, and I would have gone lower, but I don't know, just D for whatever reason popped in.
Well, now that keeps me wondering what the hell is A and B list and
I don't
where do
know.
I land? I
What even is a celebrity? You know what I mean?
don't
Like,
know. I have no idea. What makes a celebrity? Cuz I mean
I feel like it's different
like
now too with social media.
yeah, it has to be. I saw something the other day and I don't know if you've heard this because you're obviously working with high level people is that like the newer I guess celebrity are people on social media, like the social influencers, and that other artists or possibly professional athletes look up to them because of their following. So I don't really know what a celebrity is anymore.
It's weird. It's a paradigm shift in the celebrity
It
community.
is. Yeah. Do you do you want to be a celebrity at some point?
No, I've never really aspired to do that. Like even when I was doing like bodybuilding stuff, bodybuilding I fell out of for other reasons. I think we talked about it last time, but like I felt
Yeah.
more comfortable being a coach than being on the stage.
Hmm.
I've always liked running things and helping people be successful more than I've liked being in the center of attention. But if you go back to my parents' home videos when I was little, that would tell a different story that I've always been a ham. And if the camera's on, there's Jessica. But no, like I don't think I crave that. I don't like me and my boyfriend often talk about this idea of like leaving a legacy. And I've
Yes.
always thought this feels like a masculine thing. Like, I don't know a lot of women that I've ever heard express that they feel like they need to leave a legacy, but I've heard a lot of
Yeah.
men talk about it. And I don't feel
Yeah.
like I need to have my name in any history books. Like, that's not something I feel is necessary, but I feel like a lot of men do want to leave some sort of mark. And I wonder if that is like a gender difference or if that's just purely my experience.
Oh my God. Because so for those that already know from a pod fam perspective, you know that I really, really love Brené Brown. Jess, you and I have had conversations about my love for her too. And one of the things that she talks about, like she spanned like all of the research on what we know as like value systems. And she came up, I think, with like 48 to 50. And she asked a lot of the participants to hone it down to like 2 to 3. And it's so interesting that you say that because one of my 3 was definitely legacy. And now that we're saying it out loud from maybe a gender perspective, if you will, I'm kind of questioning it now because it's like there's one part of me that's like, all right, well, is that like the masculine urge to have like patriarchy and to like spread your seed, or like what else is it? Because
I don't know.
I feel like in my work the hope is that that's just not like what I'm looking at. But I will say, like at this point, so as people listen to this, my baby boy should be here because we are pre-recording this in mid-June. So fast forward to, I don't even know what this is going to look like. There is an aspect right now that I'm like, I want to make sure that I help him with the legacy. And if I'm being perfectly honest, like it is a little bit different as I navigate that, or how I'm speculating how I'm going to navigate it versus how I navigate it with my daughter. It might be the same, but I don't know. But that, oh my God, you just blew my mind right now.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about your legacy? Because I mean, the last pod that we talked about is like how important your daughter was in you coming to a place where you're like your healthiest version, right?
Yeah.
So like, I gotta think that you're still instilling those values, no?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, maybe children and I don't want to say, because obviously not all women want children, can have children, whatever. So like that's not certainly like our only value of legacy. But no, I think for me, if my daughter is like a healthy, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all those kind of things person and a decent human being, and she's happy at the end of the day, then like I don't need to go to my grave knowing anything else.
Yeah. We had some chats about the last time that we were together, and you can disclose everything that you want to in this, but I thought one of the things, just from an observation standpoint, that I thought was really, really cool is that the type of relationship that you have with her, because it seems like you do a great deal of empowering her to make the decisions that she is going to make, all while instilling almost, I don't know what, Jess, what would you call it? Like what I saw was like, hey, you're going to do what you're going to do. Here are the consequences if you do certain things. And also, I'm your safe person. We're going to talk about it regardless. I mean, is that observation even a little bit on?
Yeah. I mean, like I always feel, so I guess I grew up really, split households, very controlled in one, very, very controlled, very conservative, where it wasn't like, don't do this because, or why, or if it was like the extremest possible outcome, but mostly like, you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do this. And even as I progressed, like not allowed to shave my legs at 14 years old. Like, like, I don't know. I mean, that might
when did you want to shave?
What's that? Well,
when did you want to shave?
A lot earlier. I was hairy. I had dark, long hair. And so maybe that's what the mind of other people. But I was ready at like 11 or 12 to break the razor out, you know?
All right.
And just okay. so stuff like that. And what I did was rebel. So I hid things, lied, had a very disconnected relationship with my parents. And I got into a lot of trouble. Very good at hiding a lot of it, but I got into a lot of trouble and did a lot of things. But I didn't share this with my parents, and I had a pretty time for a little while. And so I only like, I mean, as a parent, you only know like what your parents did, like what people, like other people do, maybe what stuff you read about, but like I only had that, and I knew I didn't like how that turned out. And so instead I'm trying to equip my daughter with like how to make her own decisions, but like give her like real world, like here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. And I tell her when she asks questions like, have you done this? Have you done that? Sometimes it's really embarrassing to share these things. I'm like, yeah, I've done this and here's what I've learned. And so if you do this, you know, here's what you should know from it. But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to turn out. She's okay so far. I don't know.
Well, I think she's doing great. Again, I only know her through your content, but having had plenty of conversations with you, my friend, you're doing a great job from just observation. All right, so two things. One, I actually had that question the other day with my wife, and I was like, all right, what if like Rory wants to shave her legs at some point? Like, are there boundaries around this? Like, if she wants to, do I just let her? But that also led into like, what about makeup then? There's just a lot of things. Jess, I might come to you. I hope you're open to it. I'm just going to volunteer you.
For sure.
Oh my God. All right. So there's that. The other thing that I wanted to ask you, and this is kind of why I really wanted to start on who you are as a person, who you are as a parent, was the last time that we chatted. You know, I always like to ask people like, hey, this is the Can't Believe I Made It podcast. It's a podcast about the hero's journey. You know, have you made it? And if not, what does making it look like for you? So I think we recorded in May of last year. I think, I don't know. Fast forward a year, I would love updates, and I'm sure our pod family love updates, because your episode still is at the top of all listeners. So I know as a pod family, as listeners, like we kind of want updates. So I want to know what you've been up to in the last year.
So you want updates? Okay, updates on everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
on right. Everything.
So this time last year, I was with UCLA. Right. And then killing it. And then towards the end of last year, had an opportunity come available. Actually saw a job posting for the Los Angeles Clippers. And so now I am the full-time dietitian of Los Angeles Clippers. And
let's go.
Absolutely insane. It has been a wild life transition, because this is exactly where I said I wanted to be 10 years ago. And I'm doing all the things that I said I wanted to do 10 years ago. And that's crazy, because now I'm like, well, what next? You know? Yeah. So I'm still in the same place, still with the Clippers, which is not much further away from UCLA as far as commute, but still a bit of commute. I'm there with all the guys, and it's like I've made the transition from a collegiate to professional. Got to travel with them, got to travel for the first time private, like the perks of the job are crazy. Like it's a dream. It's a dream. And but also like, it's also not, in some ways it's everything I thought it would be. In some ways it's way different than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, other life updates. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm at a point where like, I constantly like will look at my life and be like, I have everything I want right now. Like, and I'll think about what would it look like to be like stupid wealthy? Because like I work with people that are stupid wealthy. I'm like, do I want
stupid wealthy?
Wealthy. Like, do I want that? And I mean, like, duh, sure. Like, of course. But I don't feel like I need that. Like driving to like our little 3-bedroom house and like by the beach and have our little life out here, and getting to go to my dream job and doing all these side projects that fulfill me, and have so many wonderful people in my community, and my kids happy and healthy. And I don't know, like, I just feel like so content right now in life.
Yeah. You know, it would be cool to be stupid rich, but I think Biggie coined us a really, really long time ago. Mo money, mo problems. There was a post that you had where you were on a fucking boat. Jess was on a boat, and you said the NBA hits different. You're absolutely right in that, like, it's everything that you might have thought it would have been, and some other things that you didn't think that it would be. How does it feel to say that you kind of made it in that way?
It's wild. Like, it's really surreal. And it's funny, like I'll go around into the world where like nobody knows who I am or what I do. And I'm just like,
yeah, sure.
And sometimes it just feels like it's like a cool little secret I have. Cause I don't usually tell people, even when people ask what I do, like they're going to probably have to ask a few questions before I like tell them like
before you, yeah.
You know, like I'm not usually volunteering it. But it feels like a cool little secret. I don't know. It's like but it's also not a secret. It's not a secret, but it like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I absolutely get what you're saying. Cause like on one level, there's like the conversations that maybe you have on an airplane. And I don't know about you, but I try to avoid that at all costs. And if anyone asks me, I say I am looking for work. I've been unemployed for the last 2 years. It's been really tough, and then I put my headphones on because I don't want to go there. Because if I tell them what I do, in a lot of ways, they're going to tell me about the diet that they've been on. They're going to tell me that so and so might have an eating disorder, and just I'm there to listen to Kendrick and get some work done and then go to my next like place, right? So there's that level. And then there's like the varying levels of people who might know an idea of what you do, and then you get to share that. So I totally get that. Now, my bigger question for you is that as you're sitting in like the opportunity of being an MBA dietitian, I have talked with a lot of our listeners and a lot of our community, and in a lot of ways, there's a lot of frustration sometimes when things aren't happening, and there's some frustration that comes with that. Jess, I would love to tap into moments for you just in your career that you were like, I don't like this, or I don't know where I'm going. I feel lost. Because I think there's value in that. Because I think sometimes a lot of people get really stuck in that place. So for you, I mean, I don't know, would you say you're at the top now?
Oh, it sure feels like it. Like, at least, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's levels to this shit, man. But like,
yeah.
I'm at the level that like I thought was the top. You know, maybe there's some other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean,
I know, right?
Like it was not. I mean, it feels like it definitely feels fast in compared to some other people's experiences. For me personally, but in other aspects of it, there was a lot of grind and a lot of failure first, not just as a dietitian, but just as a human before that. Like, you know, because I started becoming a dietitian in my mid-20s when I started going back to school. And I was in school working on some other stuff, but like I was going to be a nurse. I don't know. I was trying to figure it out. But like, you know, there's
something in the healthcare field.
I'm turning 37 this month, but like these last couple of years have been the first times in my life where like I've ever felt like successful. Like I've ever felt like I've had anything to be really proud of. And I haven't felt like that, like most of the time. So like there were little glimmers of like, did okay here, or got a good grade, or got the job or whatever, of like, where it felt like, okay, we're moving, but it's felt like in a journey this entire time. Like it's felt like a work in progress this entire time. And it's still a work in progress, but like, this is like the first time where like I've sat down and felt like I'm not just surviving anymore. Like I'm finally in that thriving part of my life.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a Suns fan, strictly as a Suns fan, I don't ever want you to feel this feeling. But as your friend, I would love to pick your brain if this ever happened. So obviously, as we're recording this the night before, Steph and the Warriors just won the NBA championship. And you see Steph afterwards, obviously having a lot of emotions. And the thing that I was looking for, and this is what I really value in athletes just in general, having worked with them, is like they've come from such crazy backgrounds, most of them. And whether through injury or through defeat, failure, whatever, like they get to this like mecca of the top, and a lot of them have some emotions about it. And so like the first thing that I thought of last night as I saw Steph having emotions as he's winning is like, man, I have no idea about the work that has gone into this, the hours and hours that he's put into this, and to see all of his work come to play and then have some emotions about it. Like that's got to feel a certain way. If someone asked me, Jess, like, hey, however you feel like you're a success, like what do you attribute it to? Like I will get punched in the feeling bone because I will think about all the moments that I either did not believe in myself or that I really struggled or through some of the suicidal ideation I've had in my life. I just go through all there. Now that you're kind of at one of the levels of the top, do you kind of look back and you're like, damn, there were some moments that really molded who I am today?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like when you say like, like, I don't know, when you say suicidal ideations, I mean, I think like, gosh, was it 5 years? No, not even, it was 4 or 5 years ago. Like, I mean, I did try to kill myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a moment of like, fuck, like,
Yeah.
I've been grinding it out. Like, I just graduated school, like, became a dietitian, got a great job, like, bought a house, like, had a husband, had a kid. Like, this is living.
Had all the things.
I had all the things. But
Yeah.
I didn't. Like, I didn't have me. Like, I was just going through the motions of doing stuff, and like, I internally was a mess. And out of that decision and that I had made, and that thankfully didn't work out as planned.
Yeah.
Out of that, like I made some decisions of like, fuck, like if I cannot be here again. I cannot be here again. And so there's a lot of things, throughout my life that made me the person that I am today. But I think that was the turning point that catapulted me to success. And it didn't start right there. I mean, right after that, I moved across country with nothing but what was ever in a small U-Haul. And I took a temporary job at a nursing home and I didn't even have a place to stay. Like I kept all my belongings in a U-Haul for a little bit, so, but I think out of that moment, that was like, I was born, like this person that you see today was born.
Jess, let's look at it in like 5-year increments. I mean, who are you today compared to who you were? I mean, you and I, last time that we were together, had joked about like, you really don't like love exercise. If you have to, like you will, you just like move in your body type of thing. Right. So like in your habits and in your rituals, like who are you today compared to who you were back then when you were really, really struggling?
Oh, I'm just like, I was such a negative person. I was so critical of everything. Myself first, and then everybody else. And I fucking let them know it. You know what I mean? Like it was joking around, of course, but I was nasty. And it was like insecurity. It was, jealousy. It was whatever it was, like that I was just constantly projecting, and I was terrible to work with. Like I used to say like, oh, I'm just this like leader, because I would join a club or an organization or whatever. And then I would like take over and drive people out. And like, I would just, oh, I'm better than them. And that was kind of what I thought it was. And really is I was just an asshole to work with. And I was not a team player. I was someone that was only in everything for myself. And anything I ever did was solely for myself. And out of that, like that, the person that I am today that's different is like, I'm just such a, like, I don't know, like, I feel like, I don't know, just, I try to radiate positivity. Like, I just like, I don't know. I'm just fucking happy, And so I try to share that with people. Like I just try to be a positive person in everybody's day because I know how much of a life suck I was. And so I feel like I have to give it back. Like I've sucked enough like energy out of people and myself that like now I'm just like giving it back. Like I've just turned all the negative cycles into positive ones instead. And so that just means good things are just going to keep coming back, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I felt that too. Obviously being being with you, I definitely felt that energy, but it was actually pretty cool. So there was a moment in which I'm going to let you tell the story because it's not, it's funny as fuck. There's a moment in which you left to go do something, but you came back. And what was really cool is like, let me set the scene for everyone right now. So we're in an outside bar and grill in Scottsdale. Mister's like a bunch of people. So we got there maybe at like 4 or 5, just had to leave. So when she came back, it might've been like maybe around 7. But what was cool is like, as she came back, like there's a table full of like 11, 12, all high performing individuals in their given field and what they're doing. But as Jess came back, like everyone was like, Jess, what's up? And like, it was kind of nice to see that. Cause I'm like, oh, everyone loves her, of course. So like I saw that, which was cool. But you definitely radiate that. Like, I think that's energetic. And I kind of wonder, like, obviously it took some time to get there, but like I want to know details. Like what decisions over time did you decide to make in order to get to that place? Because you completely flipped that. You flipped the script on what your life was going to be like and what you were getting from it.
Yeah. Therapy, one.
Yeah.
Therapy. Just some of the things I started doing were times where I started getting to that negative mentality again, where I would feel that like this person that I didn't want to be coming back is I would go out, like there's a mountain over by me and it's just like an ass kicker of like a really steep climb. Like think Camelback for you, right? Like it's a really mountain, right? And it kicks my butt, and it kicks my butt so hard that like I have to like mentally check. I have to like separate my brain from my body because it hurts so bad. And in that, it allows me to really focus in on my thoughts. And it's because like all I have is my thoughts in that moment. And so whenever I was like struggling with stuff, or like I had a bad day at work, or I was like just feeling some type of way or whatever, just like in my feels, I would go and I would do that. And I would like work through mentally whatever was going on. And I'd force myself to do that. Whenever I was feeling shitty, I'm like, bitch, get to the mountain. Like, and we talked about, I don't love exercise. I do it. It wasn't the exercise component. It was the mental. It was like, I needed to detox those thoughts. And I hate the word detox, but like detox those thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I started doing. And just in general, just started taking better care of myself. Like I had for so long been like not practicing what I preach in regards to like how I was taking care of myself nutritionally and all those other things. So I started to really just kind of like make a more intentional focus of like, you know, foods for anxiety, you know, and things that like I was having, you know, maybe backing off of the caffeine a little bit, hun, you know, like, like stuff like that, right? Drink some water.
Yeah.
So those are, I mean, I don't know. Those are, I feel like the biggest differences. And then also just really making sure to dedicate time to myself, and doing things that I really wanted to do. Not allowing, like, as I got into dating and other relationships, to like, remember to not like become codependent, and like really focus on setting boundaries and doing things that, making time for myself and doing things that I felt were important, so that I didn't feel like I got lost. That's how I felt for a little while, is that like I had just got lost taking care of other people. And so, yeah, those are some of the things.
Oh my gosh. I want to talk about the hill real quick, because I think there's a lot of value in what you explained, and what I resonate with is like completely shocking your body and your mind so that you kind of just connect with whatever higher power that you have in your life to get through this moment. So I'm wondering for you, that as you're like, all right, bitch, get to the mountain. What is it about the mountain that like helps you?
Well, it's overlooking the ocean, which like you can no
That
like
okay, that'll do it.
the one thing about this mountain is it just like you get out of your car and you have to kind of mentally psych yourself up for it first of all because it starts out the gate it's hard. It doesn't work its way up. It's just hard. It's steep from the get-go and it's relentless for about a mile. For about a mile, it's just a straight climb and it's a rock scramble and it's hot and there's no shade and everybody's huffing and puffing and you are just like powering through it. And like, I'm like pushing my legs, like I'm picking my legs up, feeling like somehow that's going to help me. And it's terrible. It's terrible. And as you go, you're gaining elevation. So it's harder to breathe and like, it's terrible. And then it starts to level out a little bit to give you just a little bit of a break before it kicks your ass a little bit more. And it does that a couple times. And in those, you catch just enough of a break to like tell yourself like, you got this and you can keep going. And because if I think without that, I think people would quit and turn back. But you need that little break of like, you got this, keep going, push a little bit more, push a little more. Then the final push really sucks ass. It's the worst time of them all. And then it levels out and you are sometimes above the clouds. Sometimes the clouds will roll in and you're above the clouds and you can't see the ocean, but it's just incredible. Or sometimes it's, a beautiful view of the ocean and this just like endless view of the ocean. And sometimes it's heavy artillery shelling from the Navy base that's next door. But even in that moment, it's like, it's beautiful. Yeah. Like and you've made it like, and you get to the end and you get to enjoy and there's a little spot up top where I usually stop and I have a snack before I head down. And it's like, I never regret it once I hit that point. It's like, the whole time I'm like, this sucks. But then I'm getting right with my thoughts. And then I feel like I've just gotten right with my thoughts and I'm just feeling good when I hit that final where I can like level out, look out at the ocean and just like breathe and like recenter myself. And then I skip and trollop all the way down. Yeah. And then everything's good.
I love that. So I kind of want to take like the metaphor that I'm hearing for this mountain and possibly life just in general. You're someone who like is like let's just visualize this for a sec. You're someone who is on top of this like mountain, right? Working with the NBA, working with high level athletes, and it's really great. You also have some side projects and some like things that I would probably view as like some of your passion projects with what you do, not only on the content creation side, but with other things. I mean, Jess, up to this point, like if we have some brand new entrepreneurs that are listening to this or some entrepreneurs that are just kind of stuck and like they have to do one thing for themselves, I mean, what do you say to them? Because you're a perfect example of having your hands in a couple different things and still being extremely joyous while you do it.
I think it's important to make sure that you have, well, I mean, it's great if you can like your career is something that you're really passionate about and like get excited about,
Please.
Like that makes,
yeah,
that makes it a lot easier to then invest other time into other things, I feel like. But for me, again, it's really important for me to feel like I need to be creative. I need a creative outlet. And if I'm just grinding it out all the time without that and letting that part of me die out, like I'm just not going to feel, I'm going to feel a little disconnected and I'm not going to feel as fulfilled with the work that I'm doing. And so for me, like it takes extra time to do these other things outside of my job. But for me, it allows me to continue to do things that I'm passionate about. One is, reaching more people and helping them to understand, like debunk nutrition misinformation and that sort of thing. And understand that nutrition can be simple. Those are kind of big goals of mine. But also to help give back. Like I'm creating tools to help dietitians do things in their own lives that make life easier. Like, I don't know, like sometimes I don't see it in myself, but other people will kind of identify like, hey, you're good at this thing and I'm not, can you help me with it? And so now, I'm like trying to find ways to like, I don't know, maybe that's the message. Just find the thing that you're uniquely good at and then find a way to monetize that.
I do want to ask, how did that go? You just had I guess a webinar recently, right? How did it go?
It's great. We're like 1 weekend and I mean, we like doing better than I thought we thought we would be doing. And
There we go.
yeah, I think that it's going to be really, it's a really cool project. I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Talk about it.
I talk
would
about
love
it. Yeah,
people
I'm bad
to.
at this. I'm a terrible
Please.
salesperson. That's one thing I suck at. I have to like partner with people that like help me do things. I'm the
This is actually why.
yeah.
I'm just trying to get you reps right now. Here we go. Go. What are you doing?
It's a social media boot camp course. Right now, it's mostly for sports dietitians. I think we do have some other types of dietitians in there, but it's strictly for dietitians, at least at this point. And what it's essentially doing is teaching them how to create reels and TikToks, but taking them through all the stages of like building an online presence, figuring out who your like niche target audience is, finding the best ways to like strategically reach them, developing strategies, using different tools, and really just guiding them through the whole process of like from start to finish and growth and how to track that growth on social media.
Yeah. All right. One, you did a fantastic job. Okay. You don't suck at sales. I think you just need to be poked. Two, I want to ask you because whether for our audience and our listeners, whether you are a dietitian entrepreneur or if you're listening to this pod, it's because you're a creative or it's because you have this like inner belief system where you want to navigate your own hero's journey. So I'm talking to all of you when I ask this question so that Jess can provide us with value here. You're developing young RDs, if you will, just for this subset, right? You're trying to help them to develop like the business tools to be able to go out and monetize that. You're obviously in the beginning stages of it, but I also know that you mentor young RDs as well. What are you seeing from the standpoint of things that are just issues?
A lot of things, a lot of issues. People are like scared to be themselves. Like,
oh my God. Yes.
What is that?
Yes.
Society's been telling us that to be anything but ourselves for so long, and to fit certain molds. Like, can't understand why people don't know how to be themselves. But like, there's this. I think I see this with my daughter, for instance. Like, she used to post like whatever kind of videos she wanted, silly, goofy, however she loved. She would post all sorts of fun videos, and then like as she got a little older, like she would post like herself performing, like playing music, singing. But as she got a little older, she stopped because she's like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's embarrassing, blah, blah, blah. People will say things about me. People are going to critique me. People are going to do all this. And are those justifiable reasons to like not want to post? Sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. All right. No, we haven't. I have it timestamped at 37, so I'm just gonna cut it anyway. No worries.
Do you know what? I don't know where I was.
Yes, I do. I do. So, have you been talking for the last 2 minutes?
Kind of.
Oh God.
Oh, no, I hope. Come on, don't lose.
And
me.
she's got it good. Oh.
Oh.
I think
hope
we're
we're
back.
Okay.
I hope so too.
Sorry, my internet sucks.
Okay. If it happens again,
Uh-huh.
we'll be okay. We'll be okay.
Okay. You know where we were?
I do. Okay.
Okay.
So you were saying that more often than not, it happens on TikTok because there are trolls. And so that's where it stopped.
Yeah. So, but what I see though is it's, like think about like in high school, if there was somebody that was like good at singing, right? You knew someone that was good at singing. Now with social media and like TikTok and Instagram, now you see like all these people that are really good at singing, so you're comparing yourselves not against like just like the guy in class, but like against everybody around the world. And so it may feel like your skill or what you have to offer is just like less valuable, or you're less than, or not good enough. I feel like that's what's limiting a lot of people, when truth be told, there are so many people out there and so many people out there consuming content. And there are some people that are just like you. Like as unique as you think you are, there's someone just like you. Like it really is. It really is. I am convinced of that with TikTok now. I've consumed enough of it. Every thought you think you've had that's unique and only you have, and it's
someone's already posted it.
Someone's already posted about it, and hundreds and thousands of people have responded saying me too. So like all your quirks, all your awkwardness, like bring it. There are people out there just like you that want that and want to identify with someone that is like them. And so bring that. And so, and so like through the course, we're also working on that, of like getting over like showing your face and like really authentically showing up on social media if you're trying to use it as a forum to like get business, or anything like that. If you're trying to like build community, get business, you need to be like connecting with people on social media, and you need to be, I feel like, your authentic self, awkward and all.
Yeah. You're so right in thinking that too. Cause I mean, I have my business, we already talked about this, but for our listeners, my business has really taken an evolution where I am teaching a lot of people how to build systems, not only for their fulfillment, but for their creative endeavors. And in a lot of ways, a lot of my clients that I'm working with now are entrepreneurs that are just starting. And you're exactly spot on there, because one of the things that I'm finding too is that there's almost this expectation, or I mean, we're going to be the worst to ourselves. So like them showing their face is such a hard thing. And because you're absolutely right there. And I think whether it's the pressure or whatever that is, I feel like it's usually just the person holding themselves back because of some sort of story that they've either learned from others young in their life or through their experiences and through some of their trauma. Like I'm seeing that a lot. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Yeah, I literally just had a conversation with my boyfriend about this today, like driving home from work, about just self-limiting beliefs, and talking about like how bad we are to ourselves, and how challenging, how for some people you need to stop really listening to what you're telling yourself about yourself. Because you can be your own worst enemy, and a lot of us are, and that's holding a lot of people back. We were talking about like when people give you a compliment, like he's a stand-up comedian, and he was talking about how like someone said something to him, and he for the first time felt like this was like a really genuine compliment. And I asked him, I was like, do you not normally feel like when people give you a compliment that they're being sincere? And he said 80% of the time, no. And I thought that was crazy to think that like 80% of the time that someone's saying something nice to you, you think they're being disingenuous, like, or that they're, they think the opposite or whatever. Like, that's crazy to me, because I think that probably only 2 to 5% of compliments that people give you are like fake compliments or disingenuous compliments. I don't think people are nice. Like, I think if people are saying nice things to you, they probably mean it. And you should probably listen. Well, why not listen? They're probably a better reflection of how you appear to the world than what your own voice is telling you.
You know, how do you feel when people give you compliments? I mean, how do you feel us even in this conversation and me like giving you your flowers? Like, how does that feel for you?
It feels a lot better now. I'm a lot more okay with it now than I used to be. Before, it was really embarrassing, super awkward. But I also think because I probably had more of what I was describing as my boyfriend's thought pattern, and that like people aren't really saying nice things to me. People really think this about me. People really think that about me. And when I started to just like own my shit and like feel confident about myself and my value in the world, then when someone says something nice to me, like I feel like they probably mean it, then I'm going to receive that and I'm going to be grateful for that. But I'm not going to be like, oh no, you know, I used to be like, oh no, don't, and try to like take away some of the compliment. And I think that's a sign of insecurity. And instead, even if you don't feel it's like confident and insecure in yourself, I think you should just start by like faking it and just like taking that compliment and saying thank you or whatever. Just receive it.
That's actually, I'm gonna bite this conversation a little bit more. That's a really good icebreaker. How do you feel when you receive a compliment? Because even as like, so you're talking about how your partner receives them. We've talked about how you do. I'm a good enmeshment between the two, because if someone comes to me and is giving me accolades or giving me flowers or just letting me know like how proud they are of me, there is a large portion that is like, thank you for taking the time. But there is still a lot of inner work that I'm working through. That's like, thank you. I'm not really receiving 100% of this because I still feel like I have work to do. I still feel like there could be more done, or I could have been more intentional in some ways. And so, damn, that's a really good icebreaker. If you want to break someone psychologically the fuck down,
you're taking that though, when you're having that thought about like, I'm not the best that I could be, you're comparing that to all these different versions of yourself that you have, and you're taking it and they're just seeing you in that one instance and they're receiving you how you are in that moment. And so like, they're not looking at that. That doesn't matter. That's only you. And that again is how you're limiting yourself in how you're receiving a positive connection with other people.
Have you read The Power of Now? Eckhart Tolle?
I don't read books. I don't know. I have to list of books
All right. Let me preface this. I am not reading it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not reading it. It's on my audiobook right now. Okay, and I'm barely just through chapter 1. But it's funny because it's the third time that I've heard of him. First time was through a pod with my buddy Andres. Shout out to you, bro. The second time was through a podcast from the Always Sunny in Philadelphia podcast. And then the third time was Kendrick mentioned him like 6 times in his last album. So I was like, all right, shit. Writing's on the wall. Let me spend some time with it. But it's really interesting that you're talking about that, because what you just explained is something that I'm learning to try to work through, which is like being present in whatever moment and not giving so much power to my mind, because you're absolutely right. I'm thinking about all the other past versions of me, and I'm thinking about like what I want in the future. And none of that is actually accepting what you're saying in the now, because I'm actually not here with you right now as you give this compliment to me.
Bill, that goes back to, I think, one of those habits we were talking about with like differences. Is I decided to stop worrying about shit. Like I no, seriously, I like used to plan out everything to a T, and I would obsess over the details, and I would get so much anxiety leading up to stuff. And if things didn't go perfectly to plan, like I'd be stressed out because I put so much time into planning. And I stopped doing all that. And like, and more spontaneous, but also like what I did was like say, you know what, Jessica, like you've always figured out whatever you've been hit with, like whatever life has brought you, you figured it out. So trust that you'll get it done when it needs to get done, and stop wasting so much fucking mental energy worrying about stuff that you don't need to worry about right now. Worry when you need to, and don't waste that time until you need to. And so like, I think that's kind of like the mental shift too, is like not allowing too much of my mind to wander into those narratives, because what good do they serve?
It's so funny that you mentioned that. Like for the past 5 years, I've been doing this New Year's Eve letter exercise, and I have personally been doing it more like 7 years, but I've been having my clients do it for the past, 4 years. And it's so interesting. Like the exercise itself is really an exercise of, hey, for this next year versus like creating resolutions, what type of intentions do you want to put forward? And the whole premise of it, for those that want to do this, and there's a reason why I'm mentioning this, because it's right on par with what you had just said. The whole premise of the exercise is what you're supposed to be doing on December 31st is you write yourself a letter as if you were a year from now. And so you're ringing in the new year by reading this letter that your future self rather, wrote to you in the past tense a year from now. So taking all of that, you're supposed to be saying, hey, what's up, Des? Happy New Year. I can't believe all the really cool things that you're able to accomplish. And then you kind of list like the things that you were intentional about. It is so funny that you say that, because prior to this last year, like I was on point, December 31st, writing it all down. This time around, I was like, I'm feeling an immense amount of pressure to just create things out of the fucking blue right now. I know that I have a kid on the way. That's the only thing that I know. I know that I'm making a really big transition in my business. I don't really know what that means or even what I want it to mean. And I found that I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And then finally in March, like I told myself, like, all right, cool. When Q1 is done, I'm going to write it for Q2. And then that's when I'll just start my new year. And then I got to Q2 and I was like, I don't want to do this. And I started thinking to myself, like, dude, this has been so influential for you, like year to year. Like you've written things down that you never thought you would accomplish, but then you ended up accomplishing. Like, why are you avoiding this? And even through some of my therapy too, like I came back with like, I don't want to project forward anymore. Like I need to work on being here, like now. Like my wife needs me to be here now. My little girl needs, like my family enjoys the me that I am right in this moment. Why am I the only one not getting the fucking memo here?
I love it. What a good realization, though.
Oh, yeah. So yes, I've had to graduate away from that, because I promised you a life update. So we're gonna do this over the pod. So over the past 2 months, and this is why I asked you about like the mountain, like kind of shocking your body, because I had to do that. So in April, I was like really, really sick. And so as a pod family, you already heard this update because that's what I started season 7 with. So this is just a recap for y'all. So in April, I was like really sick, just randomly like throwing up and just like not well. And I was like, what the hell is going on right now? And then in May, like in subsequent weeks, I fuck up my right shoulder. I was deadlifting the next week and like tweaked the right side of my back. And then I'm out shooting a week later and I sprained my right ankle. So I'm like, so my wife is yoga teacher, super granola. And she's like, there's something out of alignment with you. Like there's something going on. I don't know if it's the right side of your body. And I don't know if it's like the illnesses that have been happening, but there's something that's going on. And I'm really worried. So do whatever you need to, like, but what do you need? And so I took some time with that question, because I also have this really amazing like job that's going to change my life type of like situation coming through as well. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to be really cool. And I got a big transition coming up, but I'm so busy that I'm like numb to it. Like I should be excited. I should be afraid. I should be all the things, but I'm just like numb because I'm just busy. So I asked her, I was like, hey, will you do me a favor and give me the weekend? Just let me sort of gather my thoughts and my feelings about everything. just give me the weekend. So she's like, all right, chill. So she goes to her mom's house, and her mom lives like 2 blocks away from us. And so I ended up hooking up with a friend who has like the dopest setup in his backyard. He has a cold plunge, he has a sauna. And so I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to just shock the shit out of my system. I'm going to do some contrast over like an hour period. I'm going to do some journaling, and I'm just going to like figure it out. So I did that. I completely shocked, like, oh my God. The one value that I got out of this is like, no matter what happens, if I just connect with my breath, like, it's going to be okay. Because being in that ice plunge was like the perfect example of, oh my God, I am so uncomfortable. So much of this hurts. Like, what do I do? And then I just had this like centering moment where I was like, okay, let me connect with my breath. Let me just breathe, because that's the one thing that I have control over right now. So I went through those breathing exercises that I've been learning and teaching, but finally had to use because my body's in shock. And so what I ended up coming with out of the weekend of just doing a lot of journaling, taking a lot of me time, was I am so afraid of doing this next phase in my life imperfectly and having that impact like legacy, having that impact future generations. And so fast forward to now, I think almost 3 weeks from when I did that, I can tell you, Jess, and tell the pod that I'm in a really, really beautiful place where I'm so fucking excited. And so I owe you news. So I just signed on with Red Bull, okay, to be their product communications manager. So I'm going to be working with all. Yes. So I'm going to be working with like all of the elite level athletes and like the people just helping to like create their stories and to tell their stories as it pertains. Like it's so exciting. I know, dude. It's so exciting. And I'm finally able to like feel that excitement. Because what's also really valuable, and I want our pod listeners to listen to this too, is like, I think sometimes we have these preconceived notions of what our lives should look like. If we have a creative endeavor, if we have a business, whatever, like a career, like it should look a certain way. And like, I think I just want to raise my hand and say, bullshit. It can look however you want it to look like in your season of life. Because I can tell you, and now that I think about this fondly, is at the beginning of the pandemic, the Phoenix Suns were hiring a performance dietitian. I applied. The next week, NBA shut down because of COVID. That job got nixed, right? And so in my mind, I was like, okay, that would have been super dope. I have 40 clients right now. If I got the job, what would I tell those clients? Like, I would like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to shut this bitch down. So in my head, I was like, all right, I need to reposition some things and keep it open. And I didn't know at the time that it was going to be for something dope, but I knew at the time that it's like, my time is really valuable right now. So I'm in a season of, let me devote my time to parenthood because it was during the pandemic. Let me devote my time to my marriage because I really needed to get some shit figured out and take some radical responsibility behind my role and where my marriage was at that point. But now fast forward to where I'm at now, it's like, oh, you may not have known back then, but you were like, you know what? I'm going to free up my time for something fucking dope. And that dope thing came about. So you might have a neighbor in a year. So I don't know because it's based out of Santa Monica.
That's crazy. You know what? I don't know if it's that exact job or if it was something like that, but I saw one posted and I sent it to my boyfriend. I was like, this is a dope job. I was like, this is a really cool job. I was like, I need to send this to somebody. And I don't think I did. But if that's the one you got, like, I looked at that, I read it and it was like, this is fucking awesome. That's great. Congratulations.
Dude. Yeah. I knew you would like that. Cause like, I'm supposed to be like the job role is like, hey, you got a lot of stuff going on. So like the plan is to be out in Santa Monica. So I might be hitting you up for where you're at again. Yeah. And maybe we can carpool and be buddies. I don't know.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, there's my life update. Our pod listeners have already heard this part because I already gave them the tea, if you will. But yeah, I'm super excited about it, dude. And what's really cool about all of this is like I talk to our listeners about this all the time, is like being really intentional about like the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I think it extends out to other people that you really enjoy your time with. But like, just like from me to you, person to person, dude, you motivate the shit out of me. So thank you for who you are. 100%.
Likewise. You're just such a good human. You're just doing such good work.
Yeah.
Glad to know
we're both doing phenomenal work. But yeah, I told you I owed you some news.
Yes.
So I figured we would do it over the pod.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Yeah, but it's going to be super dope. But all right, I want to ask you the same question that I asked you last time when we got to a point where we were closing down the pod, and I want to ask you the same thing because I also want to know if it's changed, right? So this is the Can't Believe I Made It podcast. Have you made it? And if not, what does making it look like for you in your season of life right now as this dope ass MBA yacht riding dietitian?
Yes, I have made it, at least for where I have set my sights at this season of life. And yeah, making it looks like to me, I think I said before, like being able to be my authentic self. And I think I've continued to do that. But I think, in this next chapter, it's, oh gosh, in this next chapter, it's my daughter. It's really putting a lot more effort into my daughter and, growing her as a human.
I love that. You're a beautiful human. You know that?
Thank you.
Hey, there's your legacy. Why is that so important for you?
You got me
I know,
cry.
dude. Like, that wasn't my intention.
You're like, damn it, Jessica. We did Waterworks at the beginning. There were a couple sets of it. I need tears again, Jess. This is what you're here for. Right, Desi. You got me. You got
I have a couple listeners that are going to be. I have a couple listeners that are going to be future guests, and they're like, "No, I don't want to be on your podcast." I'm like, why? You have an amazing story, and they're like, "Because I know what you're doing."
You need to send. You need to make like personalized Kleenex, like tissues. And
Oh
send that to your
shit!
guests. Thanks for coming on the pod with tissues on it.
Oh my god, that actually would be a great like welcome package. Like, hey, like I'm so excited to be on the pod. Why do you have like high performers and Can't Believe Pod branded Kleenex? Like, oh, just maybe if you gotta like blow your nose or something.
For real. But you asked, why is that so important?
Yeah.
I was a young mom, and like I was saying earlier, like most of my life has just been focused on surviving and just really keeping her alive, and
Yeah.
I feel like we've done more than that. But like, I had a lot of priorities to be juggling at once, and a lot of things in transition, and that like ate up a lot of energy, and like whether like physical or mental energy. And now that things are a lot more settled and I feel a lot better with where things are and who I am and all the structures in place, like I feel like I have a lot more energy that I should have, and I need to invest back into giving her more.
Yeah. I feel that. It's like we kind of like do the best that we can. But I can imagine like as kids grow, there's like different phases, and you understand them and also yourself as a human and as a parent, I guess. That's how I'm wrapping my head around it. I've only been a dad for 6 years, but I also noticed each year kind of brought on like new levels of healing that I'm like, Cool. I want to make sure I work on that because that is going to impact you, baby girl. Oh, I always love talking to you.
Likewise.
Congratulations on all your success, my friend. We will be having a part 3 at some point for life updates because I don't think you've hit your ceiling yet. We'll see what that even looks like. I don't know. I don't see it. There's levels to this shit. You said it. There's levels to this shit.
That's right.
All right, Jess, before I let you go, and so we'll put a stop to this pod, but don't leave because I want to connect with you a little bit more afterward. But where can people find you? What sort of projects can we as a pod family support you with? Anything like that.
Instagram, TikTok at Jessica the Sports RD for registered dietitian, and then website jessicathesportsrd.com. Most of the time, the projects I'm working on right now, courses. So I'm working that social media bootcamp course, and yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
How's your troll account going?
I'm feeding them. I'm feeding the trolls. Bring it.
Welcome to the Thunder, motherfucker.
Let's go.
Oh shit. We'll put that in the show notes too. Her troll account is going to be phenomenal. All right. So for all of our listeners up to this point, please make sure that you go give Jess a follow. This is our part 2. This likely will get the most listens as well because Jess is amazing. But yeah, just from the aspect from a listener standpoint, again, this is season 7. There's a lot of transition happening. You've noticed that the way that we're posting podcast episodes have changed as well. Listen, I'm just trying to be authentic in the season that I'm in with 2 kids now, new opportunities, and still making sure that I'm prioritizing this. So I appreciate your patience and your flexibility and being open to the new posting schedule. Love y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.